the audio's going. So, quick one on validation seeking, right? Everyone says validation seeking's bad. Now, it is. So if you get up in the morning, first thing you do is reach for your phone, check your phone, see who's messaging on whatever, Instagram or whatever messaging system you're using. That's bad. I mean, you could be argued that if you're attending to a very urgent business issue, if it's related to business, but I'm talking about that validation seeking. When you wake up, first thing you do, check your phone. And you're constantly looking for validation. Now, it's not actually that good for you. What you should do is, and I'm not one to preach because I've always had this validation seeking side to me, right? I've always felt that I had something to prove. And what I would say is, it kind of comes from your childhood experiences or whatever. I grew up with absolutely nothing, so I've had to fight my way out of that situation. And that validation seeking, although I've always had it, it's done me some favours because it drives the ego, right? Gets things done. It gets you to take action, do things, because you feel like you got something to prove. So it is, you can channel it quite well, but I'm talking about that useless kind of scrolling the phone, looking for validation, or maybe you're waiting for someone to message you, a girl or a boy or something. You're waiting to be messaged because, if you're really validation seeking or approval seeking, it can be described as a lack, of something inside. It's like you're not at peace with yourself. You're not whole. My Roberto, my meditation teacher, always tells me this. It's like a lack. So whenever you're sort of anxiety or looping thoughts or constantly thinking about the past or whatever, or constantly thinking or checking your phone, it's basically a lack in your life. There's something, you're not happy with something. And your mission should always be to get to a point of peace. But like I said, sometimes validation can be used for good measure. You can really, really use it. Like in my case, I've always had this need to feel like I have to prove that I'm the boss. I'm this achiever. Got the old business going with it, and got my other tech business, which really it's it's why do we achieve things? Well, it's a play on the ego. On my website, andyholt.co.uk, if you go to resources reading list, I've got a couple of books in there that sort of explain it. So there's some train of thought that people say all of civilization and enhancements have been, there's one thought that is all in the pursuit of the opposite sex. So every skyscraper that's been built, every piece of engineering, putting people on the moon, whatever, every war that's fought is all in the pursuit of the opposite sex, say, or whatever, right? In your love interest, because we're emotionally driven, and that's quite true. But then there's in my reading list there's Ernest Becker's book, The Denial of Death, which is, I didn't enjoy reading it just because of the writing style. I didn't like the writing style, but the concept is fascinating. So instead of that thought that everything is to impress others, we go and get the body for that purpose. We go and get make money to look cool, don't we? It's all the same thing. We might not call it validation seeking, but really, if we're at complete peace and we didn't need the opposite sex, will we really do those things? I don't know. Maybe for our own pleasure, because I do believe that getting in good shape is a personal goal. The benefits it might attract others, but it's a real good personal goal. But really, it's all validation seeking. Ernest Becker's book, The Denial of Death, points out that it's a different concept. It's a level higher. It says all of human advancement is in the pursuit of, like the ego. You're trying to create this legacy for yourself because we're all frightened to death. So it's like, it's the denial of death. Our denial of mortality. I do wear zip hoodies sometimes, only when I'm at home, right? Go and watch my video on how to dress better than 95% of people. I would never leave the house with a zipped hoodie unless I were going to the gym, right? So when I wear zipped hoodies, it's usually like if I'm sneaking out to the shop in middle at night. Oh, that was a comment, by the way. Or if I go to the gym, but I would never, like if I'm going to the airport or something. I haven't got, they're in the other room. I've not got them. I'm sure you can show me one of yours. But anyway, back to the topic. Denial of Death, right? Ernest Becker, the book. It's all about the ego. It's like trying to create this everlasting legacy for ourselves because we're just frightened of mortality. But back on the topic of validation seeking, if you get up in the morning, if you're that person that gets up in the morning, the first thing you do is check your phone and you want to see who's like this or message you or whatever, or maybe you're waiting for, a love interest to message you. It's quite, obviously it's validation seeking, it's quite needy, all that kind of thing. What should you do instead? My belief is you should develop a morning routine. So like I do, I've got videos on this. I've also got on my website, I've got like a write-up, like a couple of articles on how to develop a morning routine. So I have, my morning routine might be get up. Sometimes it depends on what I'm doing. So if I'm training jiu-jitsu early, starts at 6, I have to get up at 5:15. 5 o'clock, go to jiu-jitsu, get home for about 7:15 when it's finished. Then I'll make a coffee, nice long hand coffee. I like making, with beans, grinding beans and all that. And then I do my journal, check my goals, and I write down the 3 things that I'm going to do for the day. So I'm doing my gratitude, and I'm writing down, do my positive affirmations, because I believe that your morning routine should include some kind of positive state management, which is you just reinforcing who you are. You're telling yourself your identity again. And then I write down what are the 3 things that I'm going to do today, the 3 small things. That's what I do to achieve my goals. Like I say, that can be a bit egoic, really, because I'm, smashing my goals. Depends what your goals are. One of mine is a spiritual journey, being at more peace, so I don't need such things. But anyway, I do my journal, I check my goals, and then I do my reading. I always read in the garden with my journal. It's fantastic. Spend about half an hour or whatever doing that. And then I might have a bit of a meditation, right? And then sometimes I will either train weights then, or I'll do my 3 things, for work in the morning, and then I'll go and train in the afternoon or something. But because I've got that, having that morning routine in the morning rather than checking your phone, which is kind of time to yourself. A lot of people, like I used to do this, used to always be on the minutes. Used to have to work in corporate and I had to get into the city, commute in. And for me, it was like always on the minutes, getting up, no time, get a shower, get out the door, get on, commute into the city. You don't have that time for yourself in the morning. You just find yourself on your phone, on the train or whatever. And it's very bad for you. I always think that it's better to try and get 30 minutes to yourself in the morning as a routine where you can read, journal, little meditate, do something. That's my opinion. Right. But what else can you do if you're validation seeking? I think, if you're really waiting for some attention, I don't know whether that's female attention, male attention, you've got to essentially work on your, it's like inner game. you might call it. And you can do that through reading. Like, you've got to solve your what's the lack? You know, are you missing something in your life? Is it not going how you want? Have you got big plans and you're just procrastinating or whatever, and you're not achieving? Because I always think that you get in a negative state when you're not achieving. And also, if you're very tired, so if your diet isn't on point, you're not getting the right sleep, being tired is one of them things that will massively affect your mental state. Like, this is why when I do my journaling in the morning, I always do a positive affirmation, because that's state management. You can also working out in the morning, state management, you know, it's doing something. A lot of the time it's either, if you think about, Tony Robbins got this thing called a triad, where, but it's in a lot of books, right? I've read it loads. I read it in Steve Duran's book, Burn the Bullshit. That's on my reading list. He was talking there that, like, the physiology, your physiology and the language that you use about yourself is massive for your state. And that's why having a morning routine and doing, you know, I'm not saying it's like a flipping, you've got to do it. It's just, you've got to find your tool. And I find, for me, my morning routine, which involves that journaling and positive affirmations and some working out and some reading and things like this, and time to myself, just sat there meditating for a short period just before I start my day. That time to just be in the moment is massive for priming your state, and it kind of kills a lot of this validation, because you feel in control. If you live your day with intent, you just feel in control. You're not like doom scrolling or worried about others. So that's what I would do. But anyway, back to what I said early on about me. I've always had this issue with needing to flipping prove myself, and it's why, you know, I created my original business. It was like, I want to do this. So I remember when growing up, when I was absolutely skint when I was a kid, just had no money, just grew up so poor. And then right from the age of about 12 or something, the light went, a switch went off in my head, and it was just like, I am going to have to dig myself out of this. I'm going to have to study, you know, I'm going to have to go to university, I'm going to have to do all these hard things. And then eventually I'm going to have to create something, because I always knew I'd want my own business. So that's how long I've been working on it, right? And yeah, quite a few years now I've been validation seeking, as in trying to hack my way out by proving that I'm, you know, in business. So yeah, I'm 24 next month. I'm only messing. No, a bit longer than that, but yeah, I've been doing it for a while. So yeah, in a way though, my need to prove, you know, that I am no longer this poor kid, and, you know, wanting to prove to the world that I could be successful, has done me massive favors. Like, the drive is insane. You know, all the shit that you go through. If you come from that, it's almost like if you come from, like, not humble beginnings, the drive that you can have can actually do you a favor. So sometimes validation seeking, I think, can be very good if you use it right, if you channel it. It's almost like, similar to validation seeking is like, if you've ever been through a breakup, you know, and you feel like channeling that, the breakup, as a drive to improve and get this and get that, that is a massive one. Certainly use the energy from that breakup. I know it's hard to, like, get in fantastic shape and get all these different things. That really works. Right, I've got to go because Roberto's trying to ring me. I've got to go and do my meditation session. See you on